Stump Station episode 29, and we're in Jeddah meeting some incredible people here. And today's guest is an entrepreneur helping businesses and brands with brand strategy. And the most important thing, she somehow finds a balance between being an entrepreneur and fitness. Hasna, welcome.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here, honestly.
Honestly, it's so good. It's good to be in Jeddah, even though it's a little bit warmer than my liking.
Oh, we're enjoying this. We're like, oh, finally, it's cool.
This is cool. Oh, no.
Yeah, this is cool for us.
I just came from the UK and this is a little bit better for sure.
Yeah.
But no one cares about me. For anyone that doesn't know you, who are you?
Okay, tough question. First of all, my name is Hasna Baker. I'm British, but I've lived in Saudi for the majority of my life. And I've mainly worked in social media, but now, as you mentioned, I'm running a consultancy with my very close friend and partner, Elephantor. And we focus on building the strategies behind the people, because we noticed that no one from Saudi has reached international scales. And we realized the reason why they're not reaching international is because they don't have anything backing them. No strategy, no direction. They're just kind of like randomly posting online. So that's where it started. But going back to me, I've always wanted to create impact and value. And my dream when I was young was to be like a horse riding instructor or a personal trainer. I've always known that I wanted to positively impact people's lives. And it somehow led me to Elephantor and the work that I'm doing. So, yeah, that's me. I hope I gave some more context.
And that's a massive switch with your company Elephantor, but you wanted to be a personal trainer, coach, and horse riding instructor. How did you go from that goal and that dream to now creating this?
It was an interesting experience. So in lockdown, I did the personal training certification. I became a PT, and then I specialized in bodybuilding, specifically glute building. And then I started kind of dabbling in that online. But I just realized I felt very uncomfortable, and I felt a little bit like I wanted to take that certification to improve myself and indirectly help people. But directly training people for some reason I didn't know how to market myself. Firstly, from an element of modesty, I didn't know how to share results without showing too much, because of my religious beliefs and then the culture as well. And so I just had too many questions to the point where I kept stopping. And then I was like, maybe it's not the direction I need to be taking. I want to better myself for myself and help the people around me. So even now, I still do personal training. I coach people very close to me and family members. Like, I like to help them and give them advice, but I don't market it. I find it very difficult. And people who do it, I'm very impressed by them, honestly.
No, of course. And I think it is tough. Like with someone that does own like a coaching brand and a coaching business, it's so hard to promote, especially like you said, glute building and shaping the woman's body, and do it modestly.
Yeah.
And I would think that's a skill in itself to be able to do that. And it's so hard to do without getting judged and without pointing fingers or without feeling like you're being true to yourself as well. And
exactly.
Because that was only, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So how did that transition from, I'm going to be a coach, you tried it wasn't really for you, to now building Elephantor? That's a big gap there.
So I have to say, while I was doing the personal training thing, I was working in social media. I was working with an agency as an account manager. So I was doing the content creation, the ideation and all of that. But on the side, fitness has always been my passion since I was young. My dad always pushed us to do horse riding, swimming, everything you can imagine, kickboxing. So I'd always been active, and I always knew that I wanted to do it somehow. Then I tried to make the shift during lockdown, as I said, and it didn't work for me. So I dived into content creation, reels, and then that started booming. I worked with an influencer who, working with her, got my work recognized on social media. And then it grew from there, and it escalated. And then it reached a point where I was like, this is not enough. It's just you work so much on things that are going to last for a few seconds, and then people are going to scroll and forget about it. And then that led me to a coffee shop one day with my friend telling me, let's work together. Let's do something real. So that's how Elephantor started.
Oh, I love that. And can I ask who the influencer was?
Her name's Ghalia Mahmoudi. She's one of the first fashion influencers in Jeddah.
I don't know her very well, so how many followers does she have and stuff like that?
I'm not sure at the moment, honestly. I would have to check her account.
It's okay.
But we worked together for a couple of years, and I was helping her with her reels and the content creation element. And that's when I started to dabble a little bit in strategy and studying the international market as opposed to the local market, so we could up our the quality and the value that we were giving.
And I think it's so hard as a, whether you're an influencer or as a brand, to really address the local market as well as internationally. It's completely different. And even I've done courses on business, which will be about branding and social media, but like, it doesn't work the same. And it's massively hard to use you can use the same strategy, maybe, but what you're addressing is so different.
The fact that you've acknowledged that and you understand that is the first step. Honestly, because you see a lot of people trying to apply international to local and flopping, because Saudis are very particular about, well, I don't want to say Saudis, any country is particular in how they want to be communicated to. And if it doesn't relate to them, they're not going to acknowledge it, not even for half a second.
And have you found the biggest difference with this? I know we're going way into this too early, but I love it. What is the difference between the biggest thing internationally in the Saudi market that is different for, say, an influencer to really speak to?
In what sense do you mean? In their approach on social media?
Like, let's say it could be virality, it could be trying to sell something. What's the biggest difference that you've seen, without giving away free stuff?
I'm all right. We give everything away for free. It's fine. It just shows that we want to give as much value as possible. I would say the biggest thing, which I mentioned to you before, is that international, let's say, public figures have more of a purpose and a strategy. Whereas here, I'm seeing it a lot more now, which is really heartwarming. People have more of a direction and they're more intentional behind what they share. But it's more of posting and seeing something that works and then being like, I'll give more of that. So they're following what the people want instead of providing or living up to their purpose and their values. There's a big difference, because the first approach, it's not sustainable. You're going to burn out, or you're going to hate yourself behind the scenes, or, but if you're pushing with value and purpose, you won't care if you have 2 views or 2 followers, because you've put your message out there. So that's what we try to do through Elephantor. By whether we're working on personal brands or business brands, our first step is working on the DNA of the brand, which is your purpose, your values, and your mission in life. Because whether you're a brand or a person, you need to be authentic to that.
No, of course. And I know it's going to be different if you're selling a service, a product, compared to just being an influencer. It's very different. And one thing that I've learned is that, you can correct me completely if I'm wrong, there's awareness content, there's branding content, and there's conversion content to realistically that you really want to focus on. Like, let's say in my niche, the fitness industry, there's awareness content that's going to go viral. There's awareness content that just looks good. But that doesn't build your brand. That doesn't really show you any differently compared to everyone else, right? And like you said, you might get less views, but then you've got that niche that you really want to focus on a lot more. Is that right? Wrong?
That is right. When it comes to the technical terms, I'm as in the dark as you are. What we do work on in terms of your communication is you stick to specific pillars. Mm-hmm. Like, let's say you're a fitness, you work in the fitness field. So you stick to awareness, education, and then some entertainment, because you want to connect with your audience, and everyone is on social media to have a bit of fun. And then you just keep switching between those 3 or 4 pillars. And that way you're able to consistently show the different aspects of your brand or your personality, but at the same time continue on the mission that you're trying to do, which is to educate people on how to be fitter or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
No, of course. And you've got this clearly a massive passion. Like, you can see it. Like, I feel like I have to keep asking the right questions to let it out. But how did this really start? Like, you've got this entrepreneurial mindset of building this company so well, but it seems like you've always had that and always wanted to have your own thing.
Yeah, you could say that. So my dad was, again, a big influence in that. He always encouraged us to start something. And I've written about this. I don't like the label entrepreneur, but we've always had this thing of, I want to start something. So I used to do clothing, I've done art, we're always doing something, selling something, hustling. And then it wasn't until I had the opportunity to work with Al-Batul, my partner, that I was able to start working with more intention and more focus, and actually be able to scale and start communicating to the local market.
Honestly, that's so good because I don't like the name entrepreneur either. I prefer the name businessman or businesswoman.
Yeah.
Right? I prefer that a lot more. I feel like the name itself sounds too like trying to be cool these days, right?
Exactly.
Like that's what it seems like.
Hustle culture, grind,
Yeah.
go hard or go home, that sort of thing.
But
No,
I
I'm
love that your dad has clearly had a massive influence in your life, whether that be in fitness, whether that be in an entrepreneur or a businesswoman.
Yeah.
And would you say he's like a role model for you?
Yeah, he's always, especially as I've gotten older, I'm able to appreciate everything he did for us, and everything he instilled in us, because our mindsets are, when I say our, I mean me and my siblings, they're very different from anyone else. When we say, like, it's very hard to find like-minded people, and that's due to my dad encouraging us to think outside of the box.
What is that mindset difference?
I feel like we're not boxed into being something particular, specifically because we have been between the UK and Saudi. First of all, that puts you out of your comfort zone. And then a lot of us were like educated at home. We were always pushed to start things, to take up sports that people our age weren't doing. So that just makes your mind develop differently. Like it's normal for me to start a company when I'm like 16 years old, for example, because you don't have, it's a good and a bad thing, the fact that we didn't have the people around us at that age to see what they're doing. But the good part of it was that we were able to excel in some things, like starting a business or whatever that might be.
I love that. It really pushed you to like take a risk, have your own thing, build something for yourself.
Definitely.
Rather than this, let's be honest, way I was brought up for sure, and like love my parents, but very much get a good education, work hard, get in a business and grow, right? That's kind of the go-to. But what was a big thing for you growing up or even now that was like, I don't want that. I don't want to be able to in a company. I don't want to be working my way up and like the norm. Have you always just wanted to have your own thing and just be like building that brand, if you will, yourself?
I would say something that my dad told me when I was probably in high school stuck with me. He said that you're put in the education system to be caged in. Like the people doing the educating are the ones caging you in, and they're telling you you're not able to rise above a certain level, because we're going to be the ones up there. So that kind of stuck with me. And I think subconsciously, I have done jobs, I have worked as an employee, but it felt like my soul and my life was being sucked out of me. I was so down and not enjoying life. And that's when my last job was, I think, around 2018, 2019, around the time I got engaged, like before COVID. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to quit. I was working as a social media specialist at a well-known company here. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I left. It was a very tough year afterwards, I'm not going to lie. Not working and not having that income and that independence. But eventually I started working with a photographer who led me to the influence I mentioned. And that's when my freelance career kind of in social media took off.
How was that year? Because I think so many people may feel like that as well, that they have a job, they're working hard, they want to have their own thing, but they don't really know where they want to go or what they want to do, but they want their own thing. But you just quit and was like, I'm going to figure this out. Yeah. How was that year in itself? And how did you really develop yourself to get where you are now?
It was a very tough year, I'm not going to lie. It's you want to cave in so many times. I wanted to go back to being an employee. I even applied, but the way luck had it, I didn't get approved, or I did and then something else came up. So I was able to stick to my promise of working on myself. But it's not easy. Anyone making that decision is a very brave person, because you're going from the stability of an income and a community to just being alone and figuring and marketing yourself and putting yourself out there. But honestly, truthfully, this is not just some cliche that I'm saying. It does pay off. But you have to be brave enough to go through it. And also something that helped is having the people around you to support that and to understand that, which I had, luckily.
And look, I'm all for this because I love it so much. I did the same 2 years ago, worked in a company for 7 years. I was a coach in a gym, love what I do, but it was like, is this it? Is that kind of the ceiling? I can't go anymore. What, I have to just keep working for more money? And then we literally switched it up, had our own thing now, me and my partner. Me and my fiance run the business. She's better at like the HR and finance side. I'm not very good at that stuff. But like now we run it and we have this online coaching, personal training and everything. And in 2 years, you're like, oh man, this is way worth it. But at the beginning, you take that risk and you're like, I don't know. And I would say this to anyone is, I would say to take a year, take that year and just be like, quit and be like, what's the worst case scenario? You get a job again. Like it sounds scary, but oh no, you've tried something. Like, wouldn't you rather just try something that you really want? And if you fail, it's okay. You can just go again, you know? And I think, I love the way we both think, but I think you were brought up this way, but I had to learn it massively different. Is there any advice that you could give to people out there that want to make this mindset shift?
You have to think about the pain of it and the pain and the pleasure. And I'm stealing from Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I read his book last year and this really put things into perspective. Think about the pain of being the same in another 5 or 10 years. Is it worth it? Like, imagine if you do stick to your 9 to 5, that's slowly killing you. Or you overcome the pain of quitting now. And then in 5 to 10 years, you have the enormous reward from working on yourself and going through that toughness, that tough time. I was going to say something, but I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah. So I'm sure you experienced it as well when you left your job and then you started your own thing with your fiance. The reward you get is triple. Yeah. The financial reward you get is double, triple that anything you can make in a 9 to 5. And it's not all about the money. It's about the calling and the purpose that you want to fulfill. But that's a huge bonus as well.
I agree. And I think as well that I love the saying, follow your passion, but I don't. Because when you do have your own thing, you're not doing the thing that you're actually passionate about. Like, I love helping people. I love coaching. I love developing people. But most of my job isn't coaching anymore. It's like 10%, if that now. And same for yourself, right? Like, the thing that you love the most isn't that, but you're building something bigger. And I think, yes, follow a passion, and yes, like go all in and try it, but you're gonna realize that if you are building a business or whatever it may be, if you still love it, you're gonna be doing, you need to learn other things. And for you, there's I may have got this completely wrong, but you've spoke about habits and mood online as well a lot. And you've literally said a little bit there on sacrificing something now for something later on and being like, I don't want to feel like this. Do you have that on a day-to-day basis where you're like, do you know what, I'm tired, I don't want to work, I've got all this happening, but you just power through?
I think the best example I can give you, which I know you would understand, is lifting weights.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be the way that you are now. So you're going to put yourself through the pain of lifting really heavy and hurting yourself and going through all the muscle soreness because you have something in mind and you want to achieve something, but you know that you can't get there without getting through the pain. And honestly, going to the gym has built my resilience in so many other areas of life. And I think that's one of the things that helped me get through it as well. I feel like there are 2 elements to life. There's the physical element and then the mental. And overcoming physical hardship helps you to overcome the mental. So I think if I weren't lifting weights in the gym, I wouldn't be where I am now.
I love that you mentioned that because I 100% agree. And there was what I did in terms of business. I took this similar mindset, but I do CrossFit, right? Do you ever try CrossFit?
No, it looks so intimidating to me.
So honestly, it's great. So I'm not going to promote CrossFit now, but in CrossFit, you have all of these skills that you need to learn. Weightlifting, gymnastics, cardio, and usually you have to work on your weaknesses. And there's always something to always be working on. And I took that into business. There's sales, there's marketing, there's finance, there's strategy, there's being a leader. And you're like, okay, what's my biggest weakness and what do I need to work on? Yeah. And I took that mindset into business because you're like, okay, maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's finance. Maybe it's sales. What is the worst part? Keep growing it until it's at a point and then keep stretching it the other way. And that's what I kind of learned when I went in and was like, okay, what do I suck at first? Okay, I'm a coach, so I don't need to worry about developing myself as a coach now. What's the first step? Like as a business owner or whoever. Do I have a team yet? No, so I don't need to worry about leadership just yet. So now it's marketing and it's finance, sales. So let's learn that. Then when you grow a team, it's like, now I need leadership. And I use that type of thing to be like, right, spread myself out. And there was one thing you said as well about pushing through weights and like really grinding through, if you will. And I think in the gym, pushing yourself mentally through something and doing something you don't want to do and turning up when you don't want to turn up. And that discipline can turn up into business, because you're going to have days where you're working crazy hours. You're going to have days where you can't solve a problem. And that kind of pushes you through to be like, let's just get through this one area. Let's just go through this one day or this one rep. And I think it can transfer over. And I know that you're clearly passionate about fitness. Do you think that your physical health has a massive impact on how well you run your business?
Definitely. This is something my partner and I align on so much. It's like when we work with people, when we've worked on a lot of personal brands, and we always ask them, are you into any kind of fitness? And we do make a judgment on them based on that answer. Because honestly, it might sound mean, it might sound harsh, but if you are dedicated to putting yourself through something physical every day with a long-term goal in mind, you will be able to commit to business. But if you're not, I'm sorry, you're gonna be caring too much on the results, and you're gonna want to give up because like you haven't made the sales, you haven't got the followers. It's like going to the gym for a month and being like, I don't have the abs that I want or the glutes that I want. It doesn't work like that. Your whole mindset is shifted, and your whole experience of life is elevated because you know that you're in it for the long run.
Yeah.
And you're not there to I was writing about this the other day. You can't focus on the end game. You have to focus, as you were saying, like push through this hour, push through this tough week, push through this rep. So definitely, I feel like they do correlate. Every businessman or every accomplished businessman that you know of is definitely doing something physical. I'm not saying you have to do weightlifting or CrossFit, but they're doing something that requires them to move.
I completely agree. And I think as well, as a big thing, it destroys your stress. It decreases it massively. And one thing that I love, and I never did this before, is go to the gym first thing in the morning before work. Like, I get it out the way, I feel good, I have energy, and I don't have to worry about it. And you can just 100% just focus. I never did this before. I used to like work out at different times, and I preferred it. But when you have your business, if you know, even if you work a job, going to the gym beforehand just completely lets out stress, makes you feel good, endorphins go up, and then you're ready for the day. And what about you? Like, how do you run day to day? Are you like same thing in the morning in the gym, or do you mix it up depending on how whoever you're working with is going?
Being my own boss has given me a lot of freedom with my time. But even when I was an employee, I always train in the morning. I feel it actually changes, it rewires your brain. Definitely rewires your brain. Because you've given your brain, you've given your brain the proof that you're able to overcome something difficult. So anything after that, it's secondary.
That's amazing. And I know that you've had this mindset from a young age, and it's developed through your family and who you surround yourself with. But over the past couple of years, have you had a mindset shift again that's helped you develop with fitness or business to get where you are now?
That's an interesting question. I definitely think my approach to fitness and business has matured, in the sense where the lesson of what I mentioned before, don't focus on the outcome, focus on the weak points, which is what you said earlier. Change up your style of training. So I've been strictly weightlifting for about 6 years until recently I decided to start doing more explosive training, plyometric stuff, like training more like an athlete, which is very out of my comfort zone. But it's also pushed me to think business-wise. One of the biggest areas of my discomfort in the business is having to communicate in Arabic. Because I speak Arabic, but as I said, it's more conversational. But now we had to do full podcasts and content all fully in Arabic. And it was really I resisted it so much. But then it got to the point where it was you have to face this and you have to overcome it. And it's very similar to the things you go through in the gym. If you want to see the results that you're dying for and you're dreaming of, you have to push through. There's something I read where it said, if you want different outcomes, you have to put in different effort. It's not going to be the same.
I agree. And I think as well in business, you go through different levels. I said this the other day when I was back with family in the UK. I said, I feel like I'm playing a video game, and you reach a certain level, level 1 is school, and then level 2 is a job. And then you're in this game of life where you have to always level up. And at different levels, you have to change who you are. So using a gamer's analogy, if any gamers out there, is you have to get new armor, you have to get new if you're fighting a new shield or whatever, and you have to completely mold yourself into a new person sometimes. And sometimes that's a little bit different in other ways. Like you said, changing your training up to be who you want to be next, changing the business, learning Arabic. You have to mold in different ways to adapt to where you want to be. And one thing like for you and Elephantor is, like you said, you want to adjust and adapt to international as well as the Saudi market. You have to learn Arabic for that, right? Because not everyone speaks English. I know that we're in Jeddah and I think everyone kind of is a mixed culture here and I love it, but there is still people that would rather just speak in English, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to what you said about the gamifying life, I really, really like that analogy. It makes life easier. It's like, okay, you failed the level, just do it again, and upgrading. And it's, I was recently introduced to this concept and I was like, I might try, and I'm not a gamer, but my husband is. But I was like, I might try to adopt some of the mindset, because it does make life more fun. And before I answer the question, I would love to know the metaphor that you give life. Like, life is how would you describe it?
Me?
Because it says a lot about your mindset.
How do I think about life?
Like, what would you, when everyone said, like, they say life is what?
I don't think I can say it as a metaphor. For me, life is... Man, you flipped the head. You're the interviewer. I would say life is a game. Like, it's about enjoyment as well as stress, but as well as giving everything you need to. Like, it doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter what you believe in. It doesn't matter what you think afterwards. It's like you give life everything you want. And you could, if you're someone that wants to work a job that you love, like my mum, she loves her job and she just wants to stay there and retire there. Cool. She loves that. She's willing to work for that. She doesn't want to have her own thing. She's never had this mindset of wanting her own thing. She's done it, didn't like it, and then went back. And it's fine. And I think as long as if you just be true to yourself, you surround yourself with people who you change over time, and you just enjoy everything you do, I don't think it matters. And when I say enjoy, you need to stress. You need to have hard times. And I always say this as well, like, I like to give the analogy of a child walking, right? Like, how many children fail to walk? None. But how many times did they fall over? Don't worry. How many times did they fall over? Many times a day. And this is like life, right? When we fail or when we mess up, whatever it may be, as an adult, there's always gonna be people that's like, oh, you can't do this is bad. But no one says to a child, okay, you should just give up and not walk, right? So it's like, that's part of life and that's part of who we are, is like, just think of it like that. You're going to mess up, you're going to fail, but you need to surround yourself with people that are just going to support you to do that. And that may mean changing friendship groups, or it may mean just not being around some people as much and just having friends for pleasure and not friends for business or fitness. And that's okay. For me, it's this shift of, if I change my mind tomorrow and I'm like, I don't want to do fitness anymore, I want to do something else. Okay, I'll just do it. Okay, I start from zero. Okay, I'm just going to, like gaming analogy, I'm just going to play a new game. Because why not, right?
Your attitude and the thing that you push will still be similar, because your essence isn't changing. It's just how you're communicating. But I like that. Life is a game. It means that you see life as fun but challenging, as you said. Because some people are like, life is a test, life is a challenge, life is a hardship. So it says a lot about your mindset.
Well, look, my partner may disagree in something, because I stress a lot about time. I stress a lot about structure. And I don't know if it's an ADHD thing, but if I'm focused on one thing, I can't think of anything else. So like right now, like we're in the podcast, I'm focused here. I can't focus on business. I can't focus on the competition I've got tomorrow. There's nothing there, because otherwise I'll be all over the place. So when I'm focused on something, let's say I'm at home and I'm focused on something, my partner asks me something else about something different, I'll stress, because I'm like, this isn't what I'm in right now. So she may say something else, but I think that's part of the game.
Gaming takes a lot of focus. I've seen my husband gaming. It's I would be like, you have to be razor focused on one thing to win, to stay alive. Do you actually have a competition tomorrow? Yeah,
we got a 2-day competition. This is why I came to Jeddah. It's like called the Red Sea Games. It's like one of the biggest competitions in Saudi, and I came to Jeddah for that. And I was like, look, let's do some podcasts with some great people at the same time. But I wear a lot of hats, and it can be tough to take them off and put them on.
That's being a business owner. Like you said before about following passion.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Because you will tell someone, follow your passion, life will be good. But no, it won't, because your passion, as you said, is teaching people how to lift weights. But then you're doing the accounting, you're doing the marketing, you're doing everything. And that's what I experienced when I started being a personal trainer, and I realized I had to market myself. And I was like, I don't like that. I just want to help people. But to go back to your question before about the international versus the local market and how to communicate, this is one of the biggest struggles we've seen with specifically, let's say, foreigners coming to market in Saudi. You do have to speak the language, and not only literally, you have to understand the mindset and understand what appeals. And that's what we do in Elephantor. What we do is we look for inspiration internationally, and then we adapt it to the Saudi market in the way that we communicate it, in the way that we physically represent ourselves, the platforms that we show up on. It's like a game, it's like a jigsaw of taking the strategy from abroad and speaking the language of the people you're next to. And this goes for any country that you're in. You can't go to, China and just start selling and marketing everything in English, and even with a British mindset, let's say, because you're not going to get across if those people are your target audience, your target customers, they don't understand you. So
that's so true. And when you said something about China there, it reminded me of, do you know about the story about Nescafe going to Japan? So it happened years ago. Basically, Nescafe went to Japan and they were like, hey, we want to bring a brand here. And they said, this was 20 or 30 years ago, whatever. And they said, you can't. You're trying to be tea, it's not tea. And they said, what you're going to have to do, you'll have to create a cartoon. And then you'll have to create a product or a chocolate which has coffee flavor. And those kids are going to have that memory of that coffee flavor. And then when they're older, you'll sell coffee. And that's how you get to the market in 20 to 30 years. And now they open the biggest Starbucks in the world in Japan. And that took a whole different strategy for Nescafe to go there. And coffee wouldn't be there if it wasn't for that.
Wow.
Which is crazy, right?
That's a really interesting story. I'm going to look more into it.
I literally just saw it on a podcast and I was like, that's amazing hearing that, because that's what you said on a bigger scale. How can we bring it to, like, say, Saudis, right? Or let's say that my audience is the Saudi market as well. So how do you bring, let's say, big brands such as, I don't want to promote fast foods, but, like, you know what I mean, the biggest brands into the Saudi market? What's the real difference of, like, appealing to people here?
I don't want to say the word localized because it's so broadly used, and I honestly really don't like buzzwords. But I'll give you an example of something that really irritated me. The other day, I went to Coffee Bean to try out this new trending coffee, and we got the coffee cups, and it said on it something like the best local or one of the first local brands ever. And that irritated me because I was like, it's not local to Saudi, it was local to California. So, like, these small details, people don't care at the end of the day. The coffee is trending. But if you're bringing something to a new country, create something that they actually like already, whether it's one of the products, whether it's the way that you design the packaging and the logo, whether it's a campaign, a huge campaign that you do, fully keeping your own identity, but in Arabic, for example, using local people, using local talent. When do you notice something? When it speaks to you, when you feel like it says something it relates to what you are, your identity. So don't just bring something and just, I'm bringing this brand from England. I'm going to put it here and you guys buy it. You have to.
It's so true.
How are they going to see it?
That's so true. And I'll just give an example of what I saw as well in my niche was, if you look at what we do in terms of working online with clients or personal training, and you look at content abroad, it's all about cooking and all about nutrition and cooking at home. And I was like, there's no point. All of my clients don't cook. They order, or they have a food plan, or they go out for friends on the weekend. So I'm like, all of my content has to be about, oh, if you go out, this is what you need to do. When you order, this is what you need to do. What's the point? I don't even cook. So, like, it's literally taking that video and being like, well, that's pointless, right? There's no point me saying, like, hey, cook this low fat whatever at home. Oh, that's nice. No one cares.
Exactly.
You know, people care if I'm like, how can you eat shawarma without getting fat?
Exactly.
You know, that's what people care about.
That is what I mean about localization.
And it's crazy different. And just giving an example that maybe you've worked on, you don't need to say the brand or whatever, but when you worked with someone, what did you do in terms of what were they doing wrong and how did you change it with Elephantor to make their brand strategy or storytelling even better?
Which brand should I talk about here?
Maybe you've got 1,000 stories. I don't know, but
I'll talk about an activewear brand whose products I really love. I actually wear them all the time. But we noticed with most activewear brands is that they communicate everything in English, and they use models that the Saudi people wouldn't really relate to. Well, let me talk about abayas.
okay.
For example, marketing abayas. Abayas are a big part of people's identity here. What type of abaya you wear, how you style it, and so on. When you market it in a way that it's like I'm taking references and examples from Dubai or another country, or I'm using models who don't physically represent my target audience, or I'm showing hair, or I'm whatever it is you're doing, immediately you've lost the person you're trying to sell to.
Yeah.
Specifically with abayas, maybe it's a very tough topic to talk about because it's very difficult to market the right abaya to the right person. But I can't, like, let's say this blazer style abaya, if I'm trying to target corporate people and I get someone who doesn't represent anything, doesn't relate to me in any way, shape or form, I'm immediately lost. That is never gonna, like, my attention span on social media is already, destroyed. So I'm not sure if that's like an effective example, but also there was like an activewear brand that we worked with, and we noticed that her communication was all done in English. And we told her, listen, you're Saudi, your target audience is Saudi, speak to them in Arabic. Tell them how that your shapewear is going to help them in their language.
That's true. And like just giving that example of abayas, I think as well is there's many women that wear abayas differently, right? You've got, I'm going to say the words as is. You've got more conservative people that may cover their hair, niqab, whatever. Then you've got people that just wear it professionally just to cover their hair a little bit. Then you've got people that just wear it openly. These are three completely different markets on how you speak, how you sell, whatever. Whereas women that are probably more open, and you can say anything I'm saying wrong, by the way, but people that wear it more open, maybe more Western. People that are covering their hair a little bit, maybe open-minded, but they're trying to still look decently professional. And then you've got maybe more conservative women that want to just cover up, and that's okay. But depending on what you want is completely different, right?
And in each of those categories, there are subcategories.
Yeah.
So it's like you would never... there's a kind of inside joke between people from Jeddah and people from Riyadh. If you see a girl with her hair, it's most likely curly, coloured abaya and no scarf on in Riyadh, they're like, that's a Jeddawi.
Yeah,
she's from Jeddah.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like Riyadh girls have a very particular style, but they might have similar mindsets, but it's just because of where they're from. So again, like you need to be razor clear on who you're talking to, who you're trying to target, and then speak to them. That's something we also spend a lot of time on in Elephantor, is the positioning.
Yeah.
You can't talk to everyone.
That's true. And I'm going to come back to you because my partner wants to she had this idea and I said, I loved it. She's definitely a little bit worried to do it. And I love it. She had this idea of creating a product which keeps your hair in place for work. And I was like, yes, like I have no clue about it, but this is many, many, many women here that are in the corporate world that put their hair here and they have to always adjust it.
You mean the scarf?
Yeah, the scarf. I was like, if you can create a product that keeps it perfect, then that's like, will be incredible, right? And I think whenever she does that, I'll throw her to you and be like, how can we brand? Because like that, I think that idea itself was so good. And you've got this market that you know how to niche down to massively. I'm trying to push her for that. That's why I'm saying it so much.
Yeah, no, it's any problem. If you see that, that's the best way to create a product or a service. You see a common problem and you address it, and then you communicate it to the people that you saw had the problem, and there you go. You have a business, and hopefully a successful one. So definitely, like, she should definitely go for it. If it's I don't wear my scarf like that, so I can't relate, but I know a few people who do.
Yeah, I think it's
like,
more
how
in
do you
Riyadh.
keep it on?
It's definitely more in Riyadh compared to Jeddah.
And corporate places in Jeddah, definitely.
Of course. And let's say someone's starting brand new. They've got, you could give this example that we've given or whatever. Let's say they're starting brand new and they're just going to start a social media to start marketing themselves, want to start storytelling. But what are some 3 things that any brand can do to really build an identity for themselves?
Nice. So the first thing you're going to want to do is work on your DNA as a brand. And the DNA is the DNA of the brand, and you are not very different. I feel like this is maybe something we can touch on after, but brands are representations of their founders. But first of all, ask yourself, what does the brand stand for? What are the values that you have to uphold and communicate? What is the mission that you have for the brand? Where do you see yourself, the mission and the vision? And what is the purpose that you're trying to fulfill? Why do you exist? Why should I buy from you? Once you answer those questions, you have a strong foundation to build off of. And then you can start moving on to the positioning, which is, who am I going to talk to now? And then the communication, which is, how am I going to talk to them? So each step you're getting more and more clear about how you're going to communicate your message, but that will take constant refining. But the identity won't change.
I think it's really tough because I think a lot of people start any business in general and they're like, money, outcome. And they don't think about these things at all. They think, I have an idea, I want to make money off that. Not, there's a problem here, I want to solve it, and then start thinking about how to position themselves. And I think when someone is starting anything, like you said, is understanding your core values, understanding who you are. And do you think it can be hard? Let's say me, as an example. Do you think, I would say I'm very open, I'm very energetic. Do you think it's hard for me to create a brand that isn't representing of me? Does that make sense?
Yes, it is.
Do you think it's hard though?
It is hard because I'm not saying that it has to actually represent you as a person. Like Elephantor, the values of the brand are slightly different than mine, but we align on something, which is, for example, educating. I'm a big fan of educating. I've actually been a teacher for a few years, and one of the values we have at Elephantor is to teach. And one of the values is to be bold and loud. I'm not like that. I'm not bold and loud, but the brand is. So you're able to align on some values, but others, it's like, this is how I want to communicate the brand. Maybe we don't align on that way. Not we don't align. It's different. It's a different style. But what you were saying about having money as your motivation, to say it bluntly, if you've started a business because you want to make money, you're going to flop. You're not going to stick to it. Money is, it's an outcome. But if you're not making the money and you don't have the motivation, you're not seeing, like, I'm going to be frank, with Elephantor, we've gone through months where we're not making money. But what do? We go back to our notebooks and we say, what are we doing that is draining our energy and taking us away from communicating who we need to communicate to? Every time we pour back into ourselves and we amplify our efforts on social media and our personal brands, we start getting leads and interest. That's how it works. But when we try to be like, we need sales, we feel like we're just constantly hitting a wall. So money is it's not a long-term motivation. It's a reward, like I said. It's like training.
Yeah.
The resilience is the true reward. The good body is the secondary thing.
Or even like the PR in the gym is the reward, right? If you're aiming for numbers. And I think that can be really tough because you go through times, especially, I completely get it. You're like, oh man, this is going to be our best quarter. This is going to be our best month ever. And you're like, I want to get it, you know? And even if you don't, you're like, you may feel a bit down, but you're still trying to be like, right, we're still trying to help more people. We are helping more people. We're providing a service that's great. We're doing X, Y, Z. And I think so many people may get discouraged by not continuously growing. And just giving that fitness analogy is that you're not always adding more weight. Your body isn't always changing. And I want to give this example, especially for women, is women's weight in a month, even if you're trying to lose weight, will change. Just literally just look at your cycle. You will gain weight. It's guaranteed. And every woman needs to accept that, even if you're on a weight loss journey. And think about that as business, right? You're going to have money going up, money going down, but realize you'd rather this rather than like a straight up, straight down.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that money isn't a priority. Obviously it is. But when your sole objective is money and your sole focus is money, you're not going to do well and your mental health is going to suffer.
That's so true. And I think the biggest thing that you said about brands and businesses, it's so tough to really focus on those core elements. But one thing that you do help with is storytelling. How can brands in general or businesses really get involved in trying to tell a story and really show their story? Because I think that's really hard.
The story goes back to your identity. Again, I keep repeating it, but it actually is the foundation of everything. And then it's more of stop trying to sell, try to connect. The selling will come as a default. So, for example, let's say you do personal training, right? Let's say you tell the story of one of your clients. I had, for example, Sarah. She works a full-time job. She has hip pain from sitting at the desk all the time. She feels like she doesn't have her glutes, whatever. You tell her story. You don't have to say, sign up, I'm going to train you. No, you're indirectly telling the people that this is what I did. This is how I transformed her life. Obviously, here it's a little bit different because you don't have people willing to share their stories, specifically in fitness. It's more because it's a more conservative society. But you can overcome that by giving value, giving as much value as possible. So this is something we mentioned earlier about being in the fitness field, but doing it modestly. You don't have to show people and results all the time. You just have to give as much information as possible, and that establishes you as a figure of authority in this field, and people will start to trust you, and then they will start to buy from you.
That's so true, because every coach I've worked with business-wise is like, you have to show results. You have to show results of the clients. You have to show results of what's happening. It's like, you can if people are fine with it, but most people aren't. You know, I probably post the same 4 or 5 people because they're fine with it. A great example is one of my clients. He's a doctor. He works a lot. He has 2 kids, and he literally is shredded. He has 6-pack abs. He's in the best shape of his life in his late 30s. I can never post him without a t-shirt. But men would be like, I want to look like that. He doesn't mind me posting him doing some lifts, but like, people kind of understand if that's your brand and that's your audience. So for me, I know I don't need to post as much because the audience are understanding and like, well, obviously, because I wouldn't want myself to be posted. And luckily I got over that quite quick of people telling me what to do from the Western world and adapting it. But then like, it's very different when you say in other areas of trying to tell that story and show results, right? So let's say for Elephantor, do you post a lot of your results with clients and what you've worked with a lot?
Actually, we don't. What we post a lot of is our work process. And we've noticed we have a vlog on TikTok, which is more of like me and my friend decided to quit our jobs and start a business with no plan. And whenever we post our weekly vlog, we get so many leads. And we're just posting behind the scenes stuff. This week's episode was how we do our market research. And from that, we got about 7 leads, people interested in working with us. So anytime we share how we work, people want to work with us. But we rarely show results.
I got a question about TikTok there, because Instagram is the way I get clients and our team gets clients, but TikTok is so tough. You don't message people, they come to you. Does that happen for yourself? Brands would message you and they'll ask for help?
On Elephantor, you mean?
Yeah.
So
like on the TikTok platform, yeah.
What we do is we promote our website, and then they submit through our website. Okay. Yeah, not directly. They do message in our inbox, but I think people, I'm not sure if this is everyone's approach, but with TikTok, I feel like there's less loyalty on that platform. So any DMs you get, they're usually very weird, but you take Instagram and email more seriously.
Yeah.
So that's how we kind of filter it.
So that's true. I'll ask a personal question about myself then. I have a bigger following on TikTok. I have like over 150,000 followers. Some people may be perfect who I want to help. How could I get them off TikTok to realistically message me on Instagram or go to the website? What could I do to really get them over to the right places to speak to these people?
Okay. What you could do is put a sign up in your bio, straight, like direct, no link tree if possible. Secondly, if you understand the psychology of how the platforms work, I think it would help you. So I read somewhere recently that one Instagram follower is worth about 100 TikTok followers. TikTok followers are not loyal.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if you think about the interface, when I follow you, I stop seeing your content on my For You page.
Yeah.
I have to go to my following tab, which I never do. I'm either on my friends tab or my For You tab. So TikTok is built for constant exposure to new people. That's why you have to really work on your hook and your conversion for them to go to the link in your bio, but at the same time not make it too salesy. It's like finding the fine line. What I really suggest for TikTok is telling the story of you being a British man living in Saudi training people. Don't be selling. Tell your story of you as a person. Obviously, you can factor out some elements. You don't have to show everything, people get so scared, like, I don't want my whole life to be on
Oh,
TikTok.
no, I don't care about that.
That's perfect. Then just document your life on TikTok and document your training, document the calls you have with the client or the messages you get through without showing anyone's giving away anyone's information. And trust me, that's going to do so much better for your interest and your conversion, because what you want to do is either push them to sign up to train with you or push them to Instagram, because Instagram, they're a loyal follower now and they're watching you and they're assessing you and they're thinking, I'm probably going to train with this guy at some point.
That's true. That means creating such different content.
Yeah,
That's more work.
you know what we were saying about trying something new and accepting when it's time to change. We had that moment with TikTok as well. You can't just post the same content. You have to look at what works and what doesn't.
Damn it, because that's actually how I started TikTok and growing. I was talking about Saudi, my life here, things like that, grew massively. And I was like, I didn't want to be the white guy talking about Saudi and being known for that.
Oh God, I'm so glad you said that, because I hate it. I'm sorry, I have to say.
But I did it around COVID where no one was really doing it.
Yeah, no one was doing it back then, but now it's like aggressive.
I hate it. Like, I don't like, look, he's a friend, but there's a guy that will be like, literally the first sentence he says, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, or in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And I'm like,
yeah,
bro, like, you can say something else, you know?
You don't want to, I wouldn't say that because it's language, but you don't want to basically be a suck up. But I would say document it in a real, like, you don't need to talk about where you are. You just genuinely document your life. Tell your stories. The whole thing of Saudi and putting the flag and putting, like, I'm so bothered by foreign influencers doing this here, by the way, massively. I talk about this all the time with my friends, which is ironic because I'm a foreigner living in Saudi who speaks Arabic, but it's kind of like, it feels very inauthentic. And I really, really respect that you don't want to do it, because I sense that you have more of a tie to the country and you feel like you don't want to be inauthentic in that way.
Yeah.
But you can't tell your story without being like, I'm a white man in Saudi.
Yeah.
Give me attention.
Like, I did a video which was like me showing the biggest gym in Saudi Arabia. I said, guys, it's the biggest gym in Saudi Arabia. And I showed people through the gym. It was literally an ad for the gym. But like, that does great. But like, you can't do every video. This is this and like whatever. But now I realize that you can do a bit of both. I've said stuff like, what's a good example? These are my top restaurants in Riyadh to order from that are under 500 calories.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're very niche. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm in Jeddah. These are the best places for here.
This is useful because I need to know where you are to understand where to order, but not every single post.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, you can balance it out. But I do suggest try doing weekly vlogs where you talk about your work, how you work, who you train, what kind of people you train. Because when they know what kind of people you train, they see themselves in that.
I have to write this down. Yeah, otherwise I will forget. And what I love is as well is that you're so passionate not only about business, but fitness, right? And how do you really get, like you said, I know that being a businesswoman that you have your own time and you can prioritize the gym, but how do other people out there get that balance too?
I discussed this a few days ago with my business partner, the whole topic of sacrifice. And to be frank, you're going to have to sacrifice some sleep or some friend time or some outings to go to the gym if you care enough. If you don't, stop complaining about it and don't train. But if you do, wake up an hour earlier or stop going out every day. Like, just go to the gym. Like, there's no hack to it. You just have to want it enough to say, I'm not going to BS myself or anyone else anymore. I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to make that sacrifice.
That's true. And I think as well, when you have your own brand or you have your own business or you're a CEO or you're just working so hard, is that you want time to de-stress. And you said one thing there is like, hey, stop going out and doing things. I was like, I would even go one step further. Get your 5 best friends and just be like, just say, hey, look, we're unhealthy. Let's change this. Instead of meeting up at the coffee shop or playing video games together, let's just go to the gym and hang out. And you're now going to just be doing a bit more. And I always say that to everyone is you will 100% like double your progress. You will double what you want to get if you, 1, have a coach or someone keeping you accountable, but 2, actually be with friends and make it fun.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you? Do you work out alone? Do you have friends? Do you do classes? What is it you do?
I work out alone and I've loved working out alone for a long time, but recently I've started training my friend, Elephantor, my partner as well. And what I like is that we are both quite competitive. So when we see that the other one is like pushing themselves, or like we use this app called Everfit. And when you finish training, it shows how much weight you've lifted, but in different kinds of animals. So you've lifted 5 horses. So we always I used to use it, I don't use it now, but we kind of have this competitiveness between us where it pushes us to be better. So we don't always train at the same time, but we know when each other is training, and we kind of keep each other in check with those sort of things. And it translates in the business as well. Like if I see her writing articles and reading, I'm like, I need to get myself together. I need to up my game, because even in a romantic relationship or in a friendship, when you see your partner bettering themselves and not kind of pushing you to do it, you get inspired. Like, I need to be a better person for this person.
Yeah, true.
So I really feel like that's the dynamic in our fitness routine and in our work routine.
I love that. And I think it's so key to have that competitiveness a little bit to push you.
Definitely.
And it's going to, are you competitive in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get into many sports because if I do, I have to, like, I don't win. I don't lose very well. So
yeah. I'm the same. So that's why still to this day, I will still work out twice a day to be good at CrossFit. So my days are normally 12+ hour days because of everything, but I can't not do it something for fun.
Yeah.
Like even if I'm chilling on doing something, I want to win at something. So I find that very tough.
Yeah. I'm not that competitive.
So even playing, for example, I thought many times, just going off what you said as well about fitness as well, because I remember you said before is that I love this, but this isn't something I want to have in terms of business or work on. It's just for fun. And I do the same. I play video games with friends and I enjoy it. And someone's like, why don't you stream? You've got a personality. It's so fun. You can make money. And I'm like, I realized that I want this to be mine. You know, I want this to be my time where it's not making money. It's literally for nothing but myself. And I think you need that. Everyone needs that. And outside of fitness, outside of business, what do you like to do?
I love stories. I love reading. I love the movies. Last night I went to a movie called Hamnet, and it's still with me. I'm still digesting it. I love literature.
Yeah.
I used to teach it and I studied it, and I could get lost in a good story, whether it's someone telling it to me or I'm reading it or I'm watching it. I'm also into any kind of activity like horse riding. I've been doing it since I was young. Creative things. I've kind of lost it at the moment because I feel like I'm pouring everything into the business.
Of course, yeah.
But I love painting, drawing, doing anything handsy, that sort of stuff. Writing.
What I think is amazing is that everything you kind of said translate into the business. Whether that be creative, whether that be storytelling, whether that be into just physical exercise, right? I know that's not related, but
somehow it is.
Yeah, but it pushes you still in what you love, right? And do you think all of these elements help you excel business-wise as well?
Some of them. What can happen if you feel like you have to pour into every single one of your hobbies? You can get distracted. So now I know to invest in, for example, writing and reading. Instead of reading fiction, I have to read some nonfiction to learn to teach myself. As you were saying before, what are my weak areas and how can I strengthen? So it's kind of like reshifting the energy, but doing the same thing. And for someone like me, having comparisons really helps me to excel. So, for example, the comparison of lifting in the gym to rip the muscle to then grow it, it helps me to stick to something in work because it's like right now you're doing the equivalent of that, you know? So I feel like every hobby you have or every interest you have, you can take the good things from it and you can put it into your business, but you have to know, you have to be smart.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it's knowing, like I said, knowing what you want for yourself and what you want to do to develop yourself, right?
That's really important. Yeah.
And because you are someone that is well-driven, you seem like you have a lot of goals and you always want to achieve stuff. But what are your personal goals and your business goals?
That's a really tough one. My business goals, we want to go international. We want our name to be, we want to work with brands in London, in America, around the world. How we get there, we don't have a very, very clear outline for it, but we know that whenever we enhance ourselves and improve ourselves, we're doing that for the business as well. For personal, again, I feel like I should have this figured out, but the only thing I can say is I really want to help people overcome the things that I overcame, whether it's lacking in confidence or losing weight or doing whatever in the gym or starting a business or just overcoming themselves. Even if I could even help one person overcome themselves,
Yeah.
I would die happy, you could say.
I think it's amazing, but it also shocks me that you said about lack of confidence, because you seem very confident. You seem like very true to yourself, of always knowing that you wanted something because of your family, of really pushing you. But when did you actually lack confidence in yourself?
For a majority of my life, actually. And even now, it's something that I feel like I mask well. And what I tell myself is, your low confidence is no one else's business. You can go and like have your little moment, but at the end of the day, don't let it get in the way of the message or the person that you're trying to be. Where when I was younger, I did let it kind of overcome everything. But then I started being more independent. And honestly, again, I started going to the gym and lifting weights, because I was always active, but I did kind of like hit workouts at home. But once I started going to the gym and being like, oh, I can actually lift this weight. Wow, I can actually hip thrust this. And seeing the changes in my body, I started feeling like I was finally doing something for myself that gave me the proof of, you can be a confident person. And if you're not there yet, you can pretend to be.
And when it comes to confidence, was it more physically, emotionally, psychologically? What was it for you?
Definitely emotionally. Yeah, which is, like I said earlier, I feel like emotional challenges are harder to overcome than anything else. So it's kind of like, even the imposter syndrome, I'm sure you still face it now with the growth that you're having and the people you're meeting with. It's just like, what am I actually doing? But you have to give space to that voice and then let it go. And that's something that someone who doesn't have confidence, they won't know how to give it space and then let it go. They will make it their whole identity and be like, no, I shouldn't be doing that. I've heard so many people say, I want to start this business, I want to sell this product, but everyone's doing it, so I don't need to. Everyone isn't you.
Yeah.
You're going to bring yourself to the thing you're doing and make it different because of that.
Yeah.
Let us all shout the same thing together. It doesn't matter. Shout it in a little bit of a different way, you know? And that's what confidence is.
I agree. And I don't know who this was that said it. It might have been even be Alex Hormozy. He's like, every time he thinks he's not good enough, but he thinks he's special. And it's like, I know I'm better than everyone else. I know I can be better than everyone else, and I am. I've got something special about me, but I don't think I'm good enough. And that type of, I'm not going to say mindset, I don't like it as much, but it makes you really drive to keep growing and keep getting better and keep pushing yourself, but not being where you want to be. You know, you don't need to think you're not good enough, but that not being where you want and still wanting to become something, I think is key. And I think this is a big thing in life, I believe, is that if you don't have a goal and you don't have a purpose or you don't have something you want to strive for, what's the point, right? I think we're all on a life of journey of creating something that makes us feel good, or that could be selfishly and give away. That could be wanting to make money. That could be whatever you want, right? But if you don't have that, then what's the point, right? So I think that's that growth mindset of not being good enough, or not lack of confidence, but being like, I have more, I will be more, and I'm better than way more than what anyone thinks.
Exactly.
And pushing past that.
And you can be not good enough. That's okay. But then you can also tell yourself, okay, what can I do to be good enough? That's my thing now. I might have my moment of insecurity or low self-esteem. And then I say, okay, you feel that you're not, let's say, educated enough. How can you close that gap? Go learn, you know, take action. And the biggest mindset shift I had was stop thinking everything is happening to you. It's just happening. And you get to, the way you interact with what has happened will be the difference between growing and staying the same and staying miserable.
That's true. And I think as well, there's this, everyone has it as well, is we go through an ego phase in any time of our life where we want to develop, we want to do things, but we think, it's okay, that's not a big deal. We don't need to know that. It's not ready for that. But it's like, you don't need to be as naive and realize that these are areas that you do need to improve on. Whatever, I know I'm being very broad with what I'm saying, but it's like you said, you need to get better at something to continue growing. And you saying to yourself, oh, I don't need to know that. If you aren't, there's a saying, the more you know about a topic, the more you realize you don't know. So if you say to yourself, I don't need to learn something, I know enough, that means you don't know enough.
You would never say that if you were.
Exactly. And that's kind of stays with me and being like, it might not be a priority right now, but that needs to still be developed in some way, right?
Yeah.
What is one thing that you know now you wish you knew 5 years ago?
that faking it till you make it does work, especially in the sense of confidence. Not everyone needs to know that you're lacking in the confidence to be talking authoritatively on something, for example, fitness or talking on social media. You might not feel the confidence, but faking the confidence does get you there until the confidence itself actually becomes something real. So yeah, I would definitely say fake it till you make it a lot sooner.
And I think there's a difference between faking who you are as a person and faking and just becoming the person you want to be, right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't mean be a fake person. I more mean like fake the actions, because our brain is wired to believe the evidence that we build for it. So when you consistently show up in a specific way, even though inside you feel really crappy about it, your brain is going to be like, oh, she keeps doing this, so that means this. Therefore, the confidence builds from that. So it's
true.
more scientific evidence based rather than be fake online.
Yeah, that's true. And there's a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. Have you ever heard of him? Okay, I'm glad you said, I don't need to describe it, but like he talks about that a lot, right? And that's a big thing in emotions, actions, and who you become.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's why I'm so interested in habits as well. It's not only focused on having a structured life. It's more of doing the small things every day to make your brain believe you are who you want to be.
I love that. And what are 3 habits you do on a daily basis that you couldn't live without then?
Gym is one of them. Another one is, I don't think they're good habits. Honestly, I'm working on having better habits.
You can say the bad habits if they help you.
I'm on social media way too much. But when I'm on social media, I do try to learn as well as like active scrolling as well as the doom scrolling, because I try to implement whatever I see into my personal content or the business. And also, I try to write every day, whether it's journaling or writing short articles for Elephantor's newsletter. Writing is the best way to fuel your brain and to fuel conversations. And I don't think enough people do it now. So the conversations you do have tend to be very lacking.
That's true. And I think as well, the more that you're typing or when on any device compared to actual writing, I think you lose that creativeness. You lose how you truly think, and you're honestly just becoming what you see, not the person you want to be.
Exactly.
And I think that can be super tough sometimes.
Yeah. And someone said once that writing is the purest connection between your brain and something physical, because it's coming straight from your brain right onto the paper. But whereas when you're typing or like there's a kind of a disconnect. But then again, at the end of the day, as long as you're communicating your thoughts on paper or in your notes app, that's important.
I love it. I love it. And what is one quote you live by?
Follow the plan, not the mood. This has changed my life drastically within the last year, specifically work related, because with women as well, we go through cycles. So we have moods, weeks where we're top of the world, and then like 3 weeks where we're not. But understanding that, okay, that is your mood, but it doesn't mean that it has to dictate your day, has really helped me to just keep showing up and be a better person for my partner as well, whether that's my husband or my business partner, because they don't deserve to see that bad mood. You know, they're just living life.
And what advice would you give to women that may be struggling with the same thing in terms of, you know, you do go through a cycle, you do go through mood swings, it does happen, but what advice could you give them on maybe controlling it or even channeling it?
Okay, my biggest advice for women, especially if you're in the business world or training, is tracking your cycle to understand that what you're going through, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your life. It's literally your hormones changing to make you feel like that. And it might sound so simple, but honestly, when I started tracking and understanding, oh, you're not depressed, it's just your luteal phase, it really made a big difference, because I was able to separate myself and still somewhat function, but take care of myself as well, like eat the extra calories or rest a little bit more, because scientifically and hormonally, my body actually needs that.
That's 100% true. And many women don't even know this. As just a quick tip is that during your period, you need to eat between 200 to 300 more calories, depending on who you are. Hence why you get more cravings and you're more hungry.
Yeah,
This
so
is
eat
just
that chocolate.
Very small thing there.
Yeah.
And what is one takeaway for the listeners or watchers that they should just take away from the podcast alone?
I would say that what did I say last time? I would say that if you are feeling like you're constantly in your own way and you're constantly doubting yourself, What you need to do is start building the skills to build the evidence that you're capable of changing your life. So whether it is you wanted to start a business, or you wanted to start going to the gym, or you wanted to get a promotion at work, it really doesn't matter. Start building the evidence by learning and building the skill set. And honestly, you're going to see a big difference within the time frame that you put.
No, I love that. That's awesome. It's a good way to end. And obviously, all of your socials will be down below. Elephantor, your personal one, for people to follow you, to reach out. But it's been an amazing conversation, and getting to know you and the brand and the mindset behind it. It's been truly amazing.
It's been really great to be here. Thank you.
Guys, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.